What is going on, San Antonio Spurs fan? This is Coach Rob Trejo Jr., and you are listening to the Spurs Tube TV podcast. I want to welcome you to the pod. We're sitting down on this episode, and we're going to talk about heading into training camp, which is just around the corner, heading into it in mid-September, and we got preseason games lined up in the beginning of October. So the time is about to get hot, right? The heat is turning up on what this squad is going to look like. And, I think we're all still kind of waiting on pins and needles to see if this roster is going to change again. And I think the answer is, wait and see. I wouldn't be surprised if there's still another one or two moves left coming from the Spurs, either heading into training camp or immediately after, right? In preseason, in the first maybe 10, 20 games of the season. It all depends on what Brian Wright and company want to do with this roster, and they are the ones that are in control right now and have been making a lot of interesting moves so far through the draft. And then also bringing back some of the guys that have been with the squad. So let's go ahead and get into the roster. You got to start by talking about Keldon Johnson. He gets his extension signed this summer with the Spurs. And to me, it's the most positive, impactful thing that we can do to our locker room. We are officially saying goodbye to DeJounte and Derek and that current era of Spurs that we were in. I remember a friend of the show, Damian Bartonic, telling us a long time ago that last year we were going to be in this flux year of we're not really in the future yet. We're still kind of lingering in the past, but it was more of a present situation with, the roster that was assembled. Now, heading into this season, there's been a complete reboot of what we're going to be putting out on the floor. Now, offensively, strategy-wise, what are we going to do? Who's going to get shots? Are we going to be moving the ball around like we did last year? Or are we actually going to get guys touches? To me, is one of the biggest, most interesting, most impactful question heading into this next season is that itself, the offense, and what are we planning to do? Because that it will either raise or lower the bar from where we were last year. And I digress, and I'll get into that a little bit later. Keldon Johnson is going to lead this team. Keldon Johnson has been a leader in waiting for the past 3 seasons. He came into this league setting a tone of ferocity and competitive nature and a level of competitiveness to bring on a nightly basis. Something that he's grown that has grown in his skill set has been the consistency. And I think every single season he's shown us something new, and he's showing us that he can do it for a little bit longer than the previous season. It's a process. These guys can't come in day 1, even year 2, and compete every night for an 82-game season. It's extremely difficult to do. And Keldon Johnson, I think, is ready to take the torch and say, hey, this is our year. These young guys are ready to roll. And he's going to lead by example. And that is the guy that you want leading by example. If he's going to be the main dude in the gym, the guy that's been there the longest, the guy that led the league in threes for a while last season, the one that's still putting guys on posters, nasty in transition. We saw glimpses of his offensive skill set. And this is something that I want to harp on this episode, is that what we saw last year from Keldon Johnson was just a taste of what he's been working on, every single day that he's been in the gym for the past few years. He's not just spotting up, taking threes. He's working on his post-up game, his post-up game on the block from the mid-range. We saw it only in shades last year because of the offense that we ran. Didn't really allow anyone to get into certain spots, like the whole Kawhi, LaMarcus, kind of get him to a spot, get him the ball, and let him go to work. We kind of went away from that for a year. DeMar too, right? DeMar had that as well. Keldon showed us in a few games last year, in a very minimal sample size, that he's able to do some of these things. Now, how well he can do them, we haven't seen it yet. But the touches make the confidence go up, that the coaching staff have some type of faith in that game in that area of Keldon's game. And what I would like to see is this year us actually giving Keldon the ball on the block, giving him the ball on the elbow, and letting him do his thing from the 3-point line and transition. Those are two areas that he's already kind of taken huge leaps in, and now all that's kind of left is throwing him the ball and saying, go get us a bucket. And if he gets that opportunity this season, being the most senior guy on the team, it's expected, I would think, in the way that the Spurs do things and have been doing things for the past few years, is that it's Keldon's time to get some touches, right? And let's get him in some spots that he's going to be most effective. We don't really know what those are from an outside view looking in, because the Spurs have not run those yet for him. But it's all process. You know that he's been working on it every single day of his life, so whenever that opportunity does come, he is ready. And so Keldon, expect a big year from Keldon. A lot of posters, a lot of touches, hopefully a lot of 20-point, 10-plus rebound games from Keldon. That's what I'm looking for going in. And, of course, to lead and set the tone with his energy that he's been doing since day one. Now let's go ahead and move on to the next guy. The next guy that's going to be in the pecking order of, I hope, getting touches. I think he showed, this person in particular showed that the skill set is vast. The talent is high. The potential is still untapped. We really don't know what we're going to get out of Devin Vassell. Devin has shown to me the most ability to do the most on the floor, on the offensive, and to be frankly honest, he's the best, I think, that we got on both sides of the floor. Yeah, Keldon does what he does, but Devin Vassell is the one that I think should flourish the most in the absence of all the guards that were there last year, right? We're talking about Lonnie Walker being gone, DeJounte, Derek, Bryn Forbes, right? All these guys that were eating up these minutes and shots last year are now gone. And to me, guys, I'm telling you what, it's the best thing that can happen to a guy like Devin Vassell. Devin Vassell is someone who does a high efficiency rate at pretty much all areas in which he attacks on the floor. He's unbelievable from three. He can attack from the corner. He can get to the rim. He's uber athletic. A natural finisher around the basket. Cannot be underrated right now, because, to be honest, Lonnie, Derek, and DeJounte all were very uncomfortable finishing at the rim. All of them. Derek White was good at it, and then all of a sudden he would go through these 20-game spells where he can't hit nothing. And then DeJounte took 2-3 years to get there. Yeah, he was a pretty good finisher last season, but let's not act like he's been like that since the beginning. No way. And Lonnie Walker is too athletic. I don't know if that's even a thing, but he's too athletic to be able to finish at the rim. A guy like Devin Vassell came in year one, had to be behind guys like Patty Mills, Rudy Gay, and all those other dudes, and was still unbelievably impressive on how his potential can go through the roof at all these different spots on the floor. And year one, it was like, dude, he was defensively out of this world. Year two, last year, he showed that he's got a bag, right? He's got quite a bit of a bag, right? And, what we're seeing, hopefully gonna see in year three of Devin Vassell is opportunity. And I think he's the guy that might be easily averaging 23 to 25 points, something like 5 assists, 2 steals. Cause let's not forget that, how DeJounte was a really good one-on-one ball defender, and that's where his steals came from. Devin Vassell is a guy that is off the charts in the IQ category on the defensive side of the ball. He reads passes. He gets in passing lanes. He comes behind for weak side blocks. He's a great on-ball defender too. Loves to go up and be aggressive on the wing, and then is very capable to protect himself defensively and not get beat back door. Like, the way he moves from one thing to the other is just it's off the charts, guys. And it's the only person he wasn't better than on the defensive end was Derek White. I'm sorry, Derek White is a all-world defender. And Devin Vassell was right there, like year one and year two. So, think about that. the potential, the two-way potential, turning defense to offense is there for a guy like Devin Vassell, and even more, he can shoot, man. He's going to get steals and be knocking down threes on a high clip from year 3, and that's what we're hoping for. To see him take a leadership role, I think is just like the cherry on top. If he comes out and is actually like this sneaky hidden leader that we hadn't really seen yet because he didn't need to be, but actually embraces that role, that's something that this program really does need. The last guy that we're going to talk about before we take a break is Joshua Primo. Your Devin Vassell Primo combination are your lottery picks from the past 2 of your lottery picks from the past 3 seasons. And then you got a guy like Jeremy Sohan, but we're going to talk about him a little later. Primo is someone who, just like Devin, can kind of do it all on offense. He can attack and finish really well at the rim. Not too athletic like Devin, but more smoother and a little bit heavier set. He's growing still, has put on a lot of weight, muscle, as he's still 19. Devin Vassell and Joshua Primo, these guys are young. These guys are still very young. The future is very bright with these 2 guys. And Primo, what I'm looking for this season, the big question mark is the coaching staff going to be supportive in making a decision for Primo to be the point guard for this team moving forward? And if you make that choice now, I think you're set, man. I think you're set if he produces well, like the team is expecting him to progress, right? He doesn't have to be the best point guard in day 1, but how about Josh Primo handling the ball, a lot in year 3, year 4? You know what I mean? Being able to shoot the way he can off the dribble, being able to step back the way he can. He's a modern day ball handler that can shoot from the perimeter, and that's something that we haven't had at all ever. I don't know ever in San Antonio. Who? George Hill, maybe? I don't know. Who was a good point guard that can really stroke it? We haven't had one. DeJounte wasn't it. Tony Parker wasn't it. Derek White. Who else? Patty Mills is the 3rd string point guard that did that for us. More from the combo spot. So seeing a guy like Primo get that opportunity is one of the most exciting things that I want to see coming into preseason. Is who is that starting point guard? Because Trey Jones might have something to say about that. If I'm a coach, look, if I'm a fan and if I'm thinking about future potential of this team, I put Joshua Primo at the point. But if I'm a coach, it's Trey Jones all day. Trey Jones is the guy you feel confident in. Trey Jones is the guy that's going to run your offense. Trey Jones is the guy that's going to make sure that that everyone else is eating and feeding at the same time. So, yeah, he doesn't have the upside that Primo has, and kind of maybe the capacity to really impact the game the way Primo has on the offensive side. But Trey Jones is not a bad PG, and he's someone that I want to be around. I want him to be around for a long time if it's possible for the Spurs, right? So Primo, Vassell, Keldon, that's your 1, 2, 3. Talking about the future of the immediate future. The next 4 or 5 years at least are going to be really heavy loaded on these 3 guys.